The story that we hear tonight is so very familiar to most of us. But yet, I had trouble finding the words about which to speak of it tonight. Perhaps it's the circumstances of the world. All the unrest and discontent, people on the move, spontaneous decisions that make so little sense to world stability. And I think perhaps nothing much has changed from when Quirinius was governor, and he said, I want to know how many men we have in this area, and so let's have a census. So if we need to mount an army, we'll know how many soldiers we have. That was the purpose of Quirinius's census, to know what is the potential to raise an army. And as well, I suppose, for taxation in order to pay for the army. And so this story of the birth of Jesus starts with a story that we know so well in our world. It's a story that feels dark, that feels troublesome, that leaves us filled with dis-ease. What is Quirinius up to? Why make all these people move so that they can be counted in a certain place, even pregnant women? Perhaps it is no surprise then that it is the lowly shepherds who are just out in their fields, sleeping under the stars, in touch with the ground that they sleep on, seeing nature before them in the sheep. Perhaps it is no surprise that they are the ones who are open to hear angels, to see something different. Because somehow they didn't hear about the census, or they had to stay with the sheep. And so the darkness that's in the first part of the story, the heaviness of all this political intrigue, doesn't affect the shepherds who really are under the dark evening sky. But as they lie there, they look at the stars, and they're open to the mystery that always affects us in the dark. I wonder if, as the shepherds were on the ground, keeping watch over their sheep, if they realized that they were in a thin place, that on that hilltop, that they just were witnessing that somehow these little heavenly messengers came down and spoke to their hearts. And then they got up and acted on it. It's a story as old as civilization. The political intrigue, and the people who live a simple life, who seemingly are unaffected by the intrigue. And who is it that God brings the message to that there is new life, that there is a new messenger? It is to the simple folks, in touch with the land, in touch with the stars, at ease with the darkness. And so these shepherd folk, smelly as they probably were the guests who came to bear witness to the birth of a child whose life would change the world, who brought, even while his parents were on the move, he brought light and life and hope. And so tonight we celebrate just everyday, ordinary people who sometimes sit on the ground and sometimes hug a tree and sometimes watch sheep or dogs or are in touch with nature, whose spirits are open to understand that there is more to be seen than what can be counted in a census. And so, to these humble folks in every day and every age, God brings a message of love, a message of hope, a message that says that there's light and love if you will only recognize it. And so we tell this story every year, because whatever is happening in your life, whatever's happening in our world, we need people who are able to hear and to see and to look for the light and hope that comes from our God-given life. Well, I hope for each and every one of us that you see lightness and peace and hope and joy in your life this day and as you go forward.